of Plateau, coming to you live from Peace 90.5 FM Jos, streaming across our digital platforms also. And I am Munkawe, London Wadak, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to a brand new week. Now, we've spent the last few episodes talking about land rights and land titles, tenure security, and the modernization of land administration in Plateau State. Today, we're taking the conversation one very important step further, because it is one thing to tell people, get your land title, but another thing entirely to explain, this is how you actually get it. So this morning, Good Morning Plateau, sponsored by the Norwegian Refugee Council, is taking you through the process from beginning to end. Step-by-step process to end. Step-by-step process of registering land titles in Plateau State. Imagine you've bought a piece of land. Perhaps it is your family home. Perhaps you've inherited it. Perhaps you've bought it as an investment. You have the papers handed to you, or maybe just an agreement between you and the seller, and you're thinking, what do I do next? Where do I go? What documents do I need? What happens at the ministry? What role does surveying play? Where does PLAGIS come in? How do I know that the land is actually mine? And perhaps the biggest question, how do I avoid spending money on land only to discover later that there is a problem with the title? Those are some of the questions we're putting to our guest this morning. And having joined us is BULUS Sunday Ndaka, head of PLAGIS, the Plateau Geographic Information System. Now, Ndaka has been helping us understand the changing face of land administration in the Plateau, and today he is going to take us through the process step by step in language that every landowner and prospective land buyer can understand. Mr. BULUS Sunday Ndaka, you are very welcome to Good Morning Plateau.
Thank you very much, the listeners, and also thank you very much, Wadak.
Now let's start, or rather we should be asking by saying, where do we start? Let's start by asking, where do we start? Now let's assume I'm listening this morning and I've just bought a piece of land. What is the very first thing I should do if I want to properly register that? Essentially, where does the journey begin?
Yeah, thank you very much. The processes of acquisition of land, we have various processes. We have a land acquisition that is done with a title, right of occupancy, and C of O. We have the one that is done with sales agreement and change of ownership. We have ownership of land that you have as a customary ownership of land. We also have land that somebody can also have by way of devolution, a way of bequeathing following the demise of the owner of the property. So let me start with the land that has a title. If you acquire a land, or a person acquire a land with a right of occupancy and certificate of occupancy, it's expected that that person should first of all, first thing first, is to seek the consent of the governor to acquire the land. If the consent is granted to the person now go to, because where do you seek the consent? Come to the Ministry of Land Survey, because all the documents, the files, the documents of the file that is the CFO is having is domiciled in the Ministry of Land Survey and Town Planning, Plateau State. So if you come to the ministry after conducting your due diligence and also doing the necessary thing in the ministry, the necessary thing I'm saying here is after doing the due diligence, you now pick the form for the consent to assignment. The form of consent to assignment, you pick the form. The person that is selling the land to you, that is the owner of the property, is the one to fill the form and also put his details there with his passport. And this is very, very important. His signature is very, very key, because the signature that he put on during the application of the title is the same signature we verify in the ministry to be sure that that signature is the real owner of the property. Now, because there are also other attachments that he also have to attach to us and give to us, because all are in the form. So when that one is done, we do the process. The process is by doing the valuation of the property. If you are buying the entire title, it's going to be consent to assignment. If you are buying part of the land, that is part surrender. You pick part surrender of the property. And of recent, the ministry has started what we call sectional title. If there is a property that is a kind of a large building with different segments, and maybe they're selling only part of the segment, that one we call sectional title, which is another topic in land administration. So when you pick those documents, you do the deed of assignment, and we do the process in the ministry. Now, in the case of a property that has no title, a sales agreement, change of ownership. Last week, when we are in this program, we then mentioned here that it's very, very key that in the acquisition of this property, the property from customary owners, the ward head, which we popularly call Miangwa, is very, very key. The Miangwa is supposed to now make sure that the Miangwa sign the sales agreement, because he is the person that is directly connected to the people that are owners of the land. So he will now take the sales agreement and change of ownership to the village head to the district to the local government. Now that file, you come to the ministry, we open a file with that. You will bring those necessary documents as well. We're going to attach. Survey also go to the site to put beacon, that is the demarcation of the land. Then bring all those supporting documents. We open the file in the ministry. That is the first step. And the other processes is the process that will continue in the ministry. Then the acquisition by way of devolution. If somebody die intestate without a will, then there is a need for the person that will have the letter of administration given from the court, come to the ministry, pick a form for devolution order. The devolution is the governor grants the order that the person have now, they can go ahead to change the name to this thing. So if that is done, we also change the process to the next person that is bequeathed the property to. So these are some of the brief stages of land licensing. But let me even state it here that it is on sporadic processing. And what I say sporadic processing is where people, that is, you individually come to the ministry to do the transaction. But then the ministry is also going on into systematic land titling and registration, where we have a demarcation of a land, that part of the land that we will demarcate. There's also a process we're going to do that in registration. So the one I've explained is the sporadic. You come to the ministry, you do the transaction. But systematic titling, we are going to the community to do the registration. So it has its own processes as well. Thank you.
All right. So when it comes to, before someone even buys land, what should they check first to make sure that they are not buying a problem? I remember I asked a similar question last time, and that came up again as a lot of people didn't tune into the conversation on time. So that's the reason why I brought this back, just to further create awareness. Before someone buys land, what should they check first to make sure they are not buying a problem?
Now, if you are acquiring a land that has a title, I've explained earlier, the first thing first is do the due diligence. First of all, pick the form. If the person is telling you, okay, the property is mine, the property has a CO4 with so registration number, get those details from the person. Then on your own, because you are doing the search independently of the owner of the property, come to the ministry. Possibly you will have the person facial look, because his passport will be in the file. And the situation, possibly the person also acquired the property and he has also assigned the property to another person. You will still not see the passport of the person inside the file, but you see the detailed names of the person. Now, lawyers are doing that a lot. That is, lawyer help people to do the search. So they make sure that all the necessary checks are done. Checks like the name, the signature, the photograph, the address of the person phone number, and all these details are checked. So if you acquire a land with title, that is what is expected one to do. Now, if the land is you are acquiring the land without a title, you are going to a community and buying the land. First of all, the Miangwa are representative. They are members of the traditional council. They are being recognized. Now we know of time in the ministry. We have land grabbers, we have people that are coming to bring in fake documents for us to process. Because the Honorable Commissioner, sometimes call some land, we had meeting with land officers, and 10 files were brought for Just North, Just South, and other local government. Out of those 10, those were the ones that the local traditional land officers identified that they are aware. It's just like 2 out of 10. So you discover that some of the Miangwas, the village heads also connive, or some of them they forge their signatures. But then one thing one is expected to do is first thing first, go to the land. The person is selling the land. He has a family. Who is the member of the family? who is the head of the family. Make sure that the person is the real owner of the property. Ask the Mengwa, is he aware that the person is the owner of the property? Yes. Mengwa will endorse. Then the village head also will endorse. Make sure that you are dealing with the right people. Because some of the Mengwas are fake. Some of that is the word here. Some of them are fake. So be sure that you are dealing with the right people. Don't just give your paper to any person and say, go and sign for me and go and sit down. They can just go under one tree or under one room and just stammer. That is the end. They give you a fake paper. So do local government and make sure that you are in the right place, not just sitting down and say, just go and process the papers for me. Then that is what that.
All right. So it goes without saying that the first lesson is simple. Don't wait until after you've bought the land to start asking questions.
Yeah.
Now, since we've established that the land is worth pursuing, let's assume, what documents do I need to begin the registration process with? What should a landowner have in hand, or someone who inspires to become the owner of a land that they've identified and they've been able to do their due diligence on, and they find that yes, these are the true owners of the land, and he determines the kind of tenure that the land is being held under. What next? What do I come with? Documents, that will aid in starting the registration process. What should be in my hands, readily?
The documents that support.
What should be in my hands, readily?
The documents that support our application are: one, from the respective local government. Sales agreement, which is a contract between the seller and the buyer, and all the witnesses sign, and those change of ownership duly signed. That is change of ownership duly signed by village head, district head, land officer, inspecting officer, chairman traditional council of the local government. There is a space for them to sign those places. Then the sales agreement signed by the ward head. Then we also need form of identity. We're expecting the people to come with national ID card. Though national ID card we don't have where they sign signatures, but we so prefer voters card. If voters card a place for signing, I don't know. International passport, driver license. These are some of the supporting documents. Then you also come with the passport photograph, your tax identification number, which is issued by the Board of Internal Revenue, because all your tax is being linked to that. So when the applicants put in his payments, that one is also linked to that. So those are the documents. They are tax clearance. We need the income tax clearance. Those are supporting documents that we also expect people to come with when they are putting in the applications, and the passport photograph.
All right. So let's assume that this is covering for whatever kind of tenure, be it direct sale or purchase outright, or inherited land, or land acquired through a family or community arrangement. I hope
let me even throw more light to the lands acquired by customarily.
All right.
We have what they call customary proof of ownership. If the land is an inherited land, you go to your village head with the form, because they have the form in the local government, customary proof of ownership. They will sign endorsing that yes, this land is your customary owner. So that document, customary proof of ownership, replaces the change of ownership and sales agreement. But any other requirement is also needed. So that is that for the customary proof of ownership, and all of them will process same to give you a title.
Right. So paperwork can sometimes be intimidating for a lot of people, but every document should have a purpose, like we've just been able to establish. Now let's talk about the technical side. Now, where does surveying come into the process, and what exactly does PLAGIS do when somebody wants to register a piece of land?
Yeah, among the documents that you're bringing is survey plan and survey report. Now, the survey, before you come in with application to us, survey plan and survey report is key. It's among those documents that you're going to submit to us as this. And so the surveyor is supposed to go to site. You pick a surveyor that is going to site, identify, as you go to identify the area, if need be, if the Mengo will be there to, because we have instances where somebody will acquire of land, let's say he's acquiring 2 plots of land, which is 900 square meter, but then he comes with the application like 1,000 and something square meter. Now you'll be seeing there will be differences. So it's expected that survey is supposed to go in line with what you have as your sales agreement or change of ownership. So surveyors go to the site, because you get surveyors in the Plateau State, they have their private institution, they have private surveyors that are into the register, they go to do the work. So you pick the survey put the beacons at the site, take the measurement and take from the perimeter survey, put in beacon, establish beacon. Now when you come with the beacon in our office, you subject that beacon to a check in the office, where we put in our cadastral sheet to check and see, is this place somebody's property? If the place is falling in somebody's land, the survey will query it and tell you, no, just go back because this place is having a title. But if it's because we don't issue title on a title, gone are the days where we issue title on a title before the coming of the GIS. Then we have charting sheets, and we're having a lot of errors. That is where we're giving title on a title. But now we have the GIS, which all the cadastral, the survey are checks, subsume into this, and we now see, okay, if it falls within the particular area without any title, we now go ahead to do the processing, give you a demand notice, and you do the payments. When you do the payments, any other process in the office will continue.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about how technology helps in detecting problems such as overlapping claims or conflicting information, and if you can tie that to the issues of the registration journey. Take us through the journey from the moment an application is submitted. What are the major stages before the land title is finally issued? Make it as simple as possible. Step 1 this, step 2 that, if possible.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. How do we identify overlapping? Just my last sentence, I said something about the checks. When you come in with your application, we do that checks. Now, if the land falls within a place that has a title, we query it and say, no, we've already issued title here. If it's a double sale from the landowners, we also query it and check there. Now, the GIS had gone a long way to help us. It has speed up our processes. Then most of the things we're doing manually, but we have digitalized it. Know that though we're not fully there in our digital process, because the digital process, by the time we're fully there, you can sit at the comfort of your house and put in application for the process of your documents. Now, the first stage is when you put in your application. After that checks, there is no other problem. First step is for us to now put in your application in our system, scan the documents into our database, save it into our database, raise a demand notice for you to pay. Now, after the lodgement, raise demand notice for you to pay. You are to pay. We have a one-stop shop there. The Board of Internal Revenue is having an office in our place that you can just pay in there, giving your receipt. We send the receipt to the account section. That is the third step, to verify whether the payments are going to the coffers of government. If the money has gone to the government coffers of government, if they finish clearing it, the file goes straight to where we call Survey Quality Checking Office. Survey Quality Checking Office, they check the quality of that survey to be sure that those coordinates that the survey brought to us are correct. If the coordinates are done, if it's correct, we send it to digitizing. The digitizing section, what they do at digitizing is they will now follow up what we check in the first survey to make sure we mark it in our database. So that, because we have series of checks, not to give title on title or to overlap on other person's property. If we chart that in the system, we'll now send it to another stage which we call charting and reporting. At charting and reporting, they also mark that area and raise a form where they will sign and say the land is free, there is no any challenges. So the Deputy Surveyor General will sign, approving and send the file to town planning. Town planning will call the person for inspection. You go and show them inspection. Now, while we taking town planners go to the site to inspect, because we want to see, is the access road okay? Is there any high tension around that area? Is there any contravention? Because it's expected you put in an application before you start any building. So they go there to check whether you have gone to build before you even obtaining the title. Then they check all the necessary things. Any pipeline, are you building on a waterway? Are you building on a place that is flooding or whatever? They check all those challenges. After they get there, they now send the file to Lands Department. It is the Lands Department now who raise a memo. The permanent secretary, the director sign, the permanent secretary sign, the commissioner sign, and they now send the file to go and prepare right of occupancy. If the right of occupancy is prepared, they call the person, come and pick your right of occupancy. That's like the stages. You pick your right of occupancies, you pay your outstanding ground rent. For instance, you're given title today, 24th of August. Now you pay the ground rent from 25th of August to 31st of December, because already you have a grant to enter into the land and start an activity. So you pay the ground rent. So when you pay that money, they continue the process to title the plan, where they're going to mark your survey plan at the back of your CO4. If the Surveyor General checks and everything is okay, they send the file to the deed register to prepare the CO4. And when the CO4 is prepared, all of them signed, and they send it to governor. Governor endorse, and they return and give you your CO4. The stages was 46, but then the ministry have compressed the stages to 23. So we're working to reduce the stages because we want to even a point where we can give CO4 even within 1 week, 2 weeks. Because the more you have the documents on time, you can go ahead to do a lot of transactions with it. So those are the stages or the steps we have in the processing of certificate of occupancy.
Now, I'm glad you brought the issue of timeliness, and the speed of the process. Now, because we're talking about people's hard-earned money, there are other questions that listeners might certainly want answered in the area of cost, time, and transparency. Now, how does a landowner know what they are expected to pay during the registration process, as in each, payment that needs to be made? And are there official fees for these different stages, or are these things arbitrary? How do you come about them? Please educate the public, because this is like the core of the where misunderstandings come up, and where people feel that they've been shortchanged or there has been fine print that they were not aware of. Please educate the public on cost, time, and transparency now.
Yes, transparency. Let me start with transparency. If you stepped into the PLAGIS building where we are doing the processes of documents in the ministry, you will see the fee. We pasted the fee at the door entrance by your left. If you enter on your left hand side, you just see the fee there. So that's transparent. Now the fee is being charged on based on the size of your land, the location of your land, and the use. For instance, the person having the land in Redfield and the person having the land in, let's say, Tudunwada, you don't expect them to pay same amount of money. Yes, so we charge it based on the person in Redfield will pay more than the person in Tudunwada, or person in Angwarogo, or person living in a place that is on plan. Though Redfield is not plan as well. Redfield is a kind of a big man's law. So but then you can see the cost of land in Redfield is higher than that of Tudunwada or any other places that is not planned. So what I'm trying to say here is, based on the size of the land, what is the size of land? Is it 450 square meter one plot? Is it 900 square meter two plots? You pay that on that. The location of the land is the place situated where. Is it in a rural area? Is it in the urban area? Because people at the rural area don't have facilities or infrastructures like the people in the urban area. So we charge that on that, and the use. Are you using it for residential? Are you using it for commercial? Are you using it for agriculture? Are you using it for... In the commercial, you have warehousing, you have industry, so we have those breakdowns. So it's been the charges have been done. But for something that I need to I'm saying here so important is agriculture. We charge is very low. Why are we charging agriculture low? Because we want to encourage farmers to register. Yeah, if your land is like 20 hectares, we charge you very, very low to have your title, so that you can now get the title, go back to your, Bank of Agri, and go and obtain loan. Put into your agricultural business, and you make more money. And also industrial, we charge low because we are trying to bring in more investors into the state. So this thing. So the other question we talk about timeline. Yes. On their timeline. Initially, when we were having 46 stages, it was taking us longer time for us to process. But because we've reduced those stages now, we give you RO4, right of occupancy, between first and second to third month. We give you your right of occupancy, which is a grant for you to go into the site to start an activity. Now, within that time, when we give you RO4, if you give RO4 within 2-3 months, 2-3 months, the next 2 months we give you the certificate of occupancy. Because the stages of right of occupancy is longer than those stages of the certificate of occupancy. So those are the timeline we give on the processing.
All right. Next, let's look at when things go wrong. We don't hope for things to go wrong, but they tend to happen. Now, knowing the process is important. Knowing how to protect oneself while going through it is just as important. So how can people protect themselves, especially from middlemen or individuals who may demand unofficial payments by claiming they can help speed things up? We know that these things happen. And then let's assume that someone discovers that the land they've bought has another claimant, or perhaps the survey details don't match, or there is some problem with the documents. What should that person do?
So for first question is about
how can people protect themselves from middlemen?
Middlemen, good. Yes. So middlemen, we have agents, we have lawyers that assist in processing documents for their clients. The ministry, we don't charge any person. I want to say categorically here that we don't ask, give us money to process your document for you. Give us money to speed up your documents for you. When you see people doing that, they're doing that on their own. It's not from the staff of the ministry. Though I'm not exonerating all the staff of the ministry that they don't do that. We don't allow them to do that. Now, some of the agents are, you can give an agent your responsibility, go and process for me. He's doing his job as a private person, doing his private practice as an agent, or a lawyer doing his private practice as a lawyer. If you give him, you have arrangement, okay, process this document, I'll pay you. That is your own business between your person. But then within the ministry, we don't give us money to process your documents speedily. No, we don't do that. We do our responsibility. All the files that comes any file that comes in first, we treat the files immediately as we do the job. Now, for acquisition of a property that has a problem, immediately when we discover, if for instance you acquire a land and you discover that the land has a problem, maybe overlap in the cadastral sheets where we do our face checking, if you discover the land has this, go back to the person that sold the land to you immediately. Ask the person, I went to the Ministry of Land to obtain CO4 and they told me that the land has a title. Now we have a mediation team. The ministry have a complaint department where we can assist to see where we negotiate. At times you discover that where the people, I mean, especially land tenure system, that they don't share land, and they will say, no, with this land, it's a family land. A family member can go and sell without the knowledge of any other person's member. So by the time you bring them together, trying to check the document, you discover who sold the land among the family, and they can now give the person another location, or refund his money back to him, or whatever, to solve the problem amicably. But then for us in the ministry, we would have a way, if you acquire a property and there's a title, and we can assist to see where we can resolve the matter within the ministry. But if the matter cannot be resolved with the ministry, they can go to court, because court is the only body that has the final say.
All right, now finally, after all the forms of checks, surveys and approvals, the landowner wants one thing: proof that the process has achieved its process. So let's look at the finishing line now. What does the landowner finally receive when the registration process is successfully completed, and how does that document or record give the owner greater security and confidence in their land rights?
Good. The final document you receive is a certificate of occupancy. CO4 is the final document. Grant right is for you to just go start activate the land, but CO4 is the final document we give you. Now, by having the document, the CO4, you are protected, because the governor that endorsed the signature, he is the person by Land Use Act Section 1 vested your power to own the land on behalf of the people. So having his signature on your document, you have a document that is secure. You are being protected. You are being protected.
Right. So with what little time that we have got, could you quickly mention the issues where people find that, like I asked earlier on, there might be issues with the land, issues with the process, or issues with documentation. What is the danger of simply ignoring such problems, like how people do? And sometimes they say, I've already paid for the land, so I'll sort it out later. Could you just hint at that in a minute before we go on a break?
The danger is when you acquire your land and you sit down with the sales agreement, you've not come to identify the ministry. The danger is somebody will go tomorrow on that same land, process the document and have CO4. He will be recognized. If you go to court with that person will be recognized that he has the upper hand in the land, and that you are now sitting down with your sales agreement and change of ownership. Because when they call us to court to come and testify who owns this land, we testify that, look, the person that has the document with us is the owner of the land.
All right, so many thanks for taking us through the process. We will pause briefly now to allow the listener, think about what we've said so far on Good Morning Plateau, your daily dose of Plateau, coming to you live from Peace 90.5 FM Jos. And remember, this program is sponsored by the Norwegian Refugee Council, and we will be returning, but then we take this break and we simmer, on the facts that have been reeled out, so that we would be hearing from you, because this concerns you. This is an investment that everybody depends on. Everybody lives somewhere. Land is something that we all, have to benefit off of one way or the other. So let's take that break, and when we return, it'll be time for you, the listener, to join in the conversation. Don't go away.
Do you own land in Plateau State? Have you secured your legal ownership? The Plateau State Ministry of Land, Survey and Town Planning will commence the implementation of the Systematic Land Titling and Registration Program. Systematic Land Title Registration is an organized government process of identifying, surveying, recording and registering all land parcels within a defined area to provide legal proof of ownership and improve land administration. This program makes it easier, faster and more transparent for landowners to obtain legal documents for their land. A registered title protects your property from disputes, increases its value, provides security for your family, and can help you access financial opportunities. When officials visit your community, cooperate with them by providing accurate information and the required documents. For more information, contact your community leaders or the Plateau State Ministry of Land Survey and Town Planning. Remember, your land deserves legal protection. Register it today for a secure tomorrow. Systematic land titling and registration, bringing secure land ownership closer to every citizen of Plateau State. This message is brought to you by the Plateau State Ministry of Land Survey and Town Planning, supported by the Norwegian Refugee Council (NRC), funded by the Norwegian Agency for Development Corporation (NORAD).
Welcome back. This is Good Morning Plateau, sponsored by the Norwegian Refugee Council and on Peace 90.5 FM Jos. And you're listening to Munkawe London Wadak as your guide. And this morning we've been looking at the step-by-step process of registering land titles in Plateau State, and our guest remains BULUS Sunday Ndaka, head of PLAGIS. Now, before that break, we were able to talk through the journey from what to check before acquiring land, the documents required, the role of survey and PLAGIS, the stages of registration, possible costs and reasons for delays, what happens when there is a dispute, and what the landowner should expect at the end of the process. Now, before we go forward, there's another area that really needs, a little bit of light, to just broach the issue before we shed some more light on it, probably on a subsequent program. Let's talk about systematic land titling and registration. Please, could you educate the public on this? And of course, any other issue that we might have left out, real quick, before we allow the listeners to be a part of the conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Wadak. Thank you. There a quick one. I said earlier on when I started this, I said we have sporadic registration, we have systematic registration. Now, systematic registration is sporadic. I said you come to the ministry. Individual persons come into the ministry at their own time and their own pace. But then systematic registration is an orderly manner where we, from the ministry, take a particular area, demarcate an area, map an area, and say, okay, the people of this area, the entire people of this area, we need to now register them. Let's take example, a very good example. Let me say Mado Tudunwada. We just go to Mado Tudunwada. Now, before going there are processes. The process is stakeholder engagement. The ministry has started the stakeholder engagement already, because we are working on that to see how we can kickstart this systematic land titling and registration in the Plateau State. Now, it's going to give us a massive registration of documents. The advantages are here. One, you are at the comfort of your house. The cost of processing will reduce. We give you title over your land. No matter how the land, the property is, we give you. No matter how small the piece of land is, we give you title over it. Now, the first start with the stakeholder engagement, where we sensitize the people, sensitize the traditional rulers, because it involves the traditional rulers, involve the ministry, it involves the local government people to come into that for us to do the registration, a massive registration. So when that sensitization is done with the public, general public, the next stage is for us to go to the area we've already demarcated. Start from house to house, adjoining plots by adjoining plots. Now, the neighbor, if we start from Mr. A, who is a neighbor to Mr. B, the neighbor Mr. B would identify this man is the owner of the property. You give us the documents that you are having. The Miangwa, the village, the district, all will be there. Sign those documents and endorse that this land is this. And the local government people sign the documents, and we continue doing that till we finish this. After doing that, we now publish the names. We do a public display of the names of all the people that are in that area that we've demarcated. Now, I need to say something here. Somebody can say, okay, what about the person that is having a title already? When we get to where you have a title, if you have a title over your land and you fall within that demarcated area, we do what we call recertification. We recertify your documents. Put beacon, you do the survey checking of your property, put beacon again, and give you a digital CFO if you don't have digital CFO. Digital CFO is the CFO we're giving presently on this GIS platform. Now, we give you that document. Now, after doing the publication, the public display, after 30 days, there is no complaint, no any objection, we go ahead to process the document, the ministry, and issue title to them. But then the situation where we have, objection, where there are challenges, people are challenging, or there is a kind of dispute in between parties, there's going to be a mediation team that will sit down and discuss, okay, how can they resolve this problem? So, in a nutshell, That is what we have a systematic title restoration.
All right. So since we've been able to quickly, talk a bit about systematic registration, with the promise, of course, that next time we would expand it further. Let's now hear from the listener. Now, maybe they've registered land before. Maybe you, the listener, you're currently trying to register one, or perhaps you're planning to buy land and want to know what to look out for. The rules of our engagement still remain. Keep your questions and comments brief and relevant to today's discussion. Please be respectful, no abusive or offensive language, and tell us your name and location before making your contribution. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Krankes Kadum calling you from Pushit, aka Majority Leader.
All right, Krankes, you're welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I want to appreciate our guest this morning for this good enlightenment. People in rural areas need more awareness and sensitization, because you discover that brothers, the same family, are carrying themselves to court issue of land. You spend more than 10 to 20 years in court because of land. So I want you to come closer to us in rural areas. So also, I learned that all land belongs to government. You discover that some primary schools or government schools that belong to government, and people are going to farm some plot of the land that they didn't pay us, that our parents give you people land free. The land belongs to government. So come to our rural areas. We need your help. So also, issue of road. You buy a land and you pay. You discover that you don't have road unless you pay another money for road. It's unfair. So please, I want to appreciate what government is doing. So also PRTV, we want to appreciate your effort for this good information. Love this show. Keep what you are doing.
Thank you, Krankes, for appreciating what we do. We are here and committed to you always to ensure that you're informed, educated, and enlightened. Thank you for listening, and keep listening as a response shall come through from the guest over this issue that you have raised. Of course, it would be interesting to know what could be done, seeing as families are fighting and feuding over land disputes. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, you're on to Good Morning Plateau on Peace 90.5 FM.
My name is Dauda Nanette Solomon from Takas Community in Panshin Local Government.
All right, Dauda, you're welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Want to appreciate the presenter for a wonderful program being presented.
Thank you.
And I would like to say, as the ministry is trying a lot so that a landowner can acquire his land ownership, it's also good for the government to work hard for the security of the land, because the security of our land is very, very important. I can't acquire a land ownership and my land is not being secured. If that will not be done, I think the government should give the farmer the right to have a little stick in order to secure his land. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is that let the government try their best to help the farmer by securing the land very well, so that the farmer can also enjoy what belongs to him. Thank you so much.
Thank you indeed, Dauda, for calling in there from Takas and for sharing your thoughts. Keep listening as a reaction shall come through concerning what you have raised. Right, let's take some more calls before we go to Facebook, where we have quite a number of comments under the live stream. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Yes, good morning. May we know your name and where you're calling from? Sorry?
My name is Emeka, calling you from Bakinkoji, Barikindadi.
All right, Emeka from Bakinkoji. How is Bakinkoji today?
No, Bakinkoji is full and fine.
All right, nice to have you on the show.
Yes, I have a question about this issue that you are talking about. In fact, our guest is talking very, very well. My own problem is, I buy a land to somebody that is plot with that. I buy it to somebody. He have already do COO and the rest. How am I going to do? I will go and change another document. Oh, I can use this one that he have already do everything COO with it. I hope you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Emeka from Bakinkoji. Indeed, it will be good to know if titles are transferable. I think that is the essence of what he's asking. If already one has documents, whether it's an RFO or CFO, that would mean that it would be a fresh process, or how does it happen? Fine, let's not assume that everybody knows how these things go, so we will note that down. Emeka, keep listening, as we will have an answer for you shortly. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Nani speaking from Jos. Good morning, Plateau.
Good morning, Nani. Is a woman, finally.
I would really want to hear from your guests this morning. There was a process we started, I think, some 15-20 years ago, and then a new administration came and said that the survey that was done on the piece of land was an analog one. We needed to do a digital survey. That was done. Now my question is this: what will they have us do? Or what are they thinking to do differently in an event that you're processing a piece of land for a long period of time, but the issue keeps rising up of missing file, or you can't really trace where your documents are? What are they really putting in place so that this process will be seamless for those that needed to do this and also finish on time? Then, just to back up what a caller said earlier on, I think the issue of land, if the land we are talking about belongs to government, there are lands and pieces of land that are sold to people that access road becomes a problem. When I speak, I'm speaking even right inside Redfield and the adjoined environments where we don't really have proper access road. What are they doing to mitigate this challenging situation so that we will not have a case where we have very beautiful buildings springing forth, but then the access road is nothing to write home about, knowing fully well that we are planning a city that is smart and will stand the test of time. Good morning, Plateau. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Nani, for calling in there and for sharing your thoughts. We put a pause on the calls at this point, and we quickly bring on the comments from Facebook now. This one comes in from Daniel Julfa. Daniel, and he says, NRC, that's the Norwegian Refugee Council, we are really proud of you on the plateau. That's heartwarming. And Barry Vibe says he's watching live on the live stream, and Mommy's boy says good morning. Those are the three comments that we have so far, so put those together with the 4 calls and let's hear your responses.
Yeah, from Crankcase, thank you very much for bringing up issue of sensitization in the rural areas. We thank God that I think we've done a bit to sensitize people on the rural areas, especially Mongo, Bokos, Barikiladi, Bassa, and Rio, and we are working to see how we can sensitize in other local government. Of course, we went to local government called traditional rulers and we sat down with them to create awareness on the benefits and the importance of registration and the stages or processes that are involved in registration. Now, we also want to be using this avenue, especially the media, to see how we can reach out to people on registration. Now, in the issue where people have challenges of dispute between family members, they take themselves to court to take a longer time. There are a lot of issues. Land, population increases, but land is stagnant. The land does not increase. The size of land is still there to remain there forever till the kingdom come. Now, it's expected that when people have land in their family, try to see how we can mitigate the problem before it escalates to become another problem. If needs be for you to follow a customary way of sharing land, please do. on time and any other person taking part of his land. But where you don't do that, tomorrow you see yourself dragging yourself to court or taking longer time to listen. But we always beg and see mediation is the best bet for land disputes, because you go to court, you can take longer time. You start from maybe area court, high court, go to appeal, court of appeal, go to Supreme Court. It takes years, and some people that have gone to court at times, some of them will not even live to continue those cases. So I think we beg for people to see where they can mediate and resolve the problem amicably and solve the problem. I'll take the question of the access road. You acquire land and no access road. Nanya asked that question. Crankcase also asked that question on having land, a property, but no access road. Very unfortunate. And I want to say here that most times I say we in the part of government, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. But it's not our fault, because we go to places where government have the full control of land. We do proper planning, where we do roads, give good sizable roads with good drainages. But so unfortunate that most times we now on situation that sporadic registration, people come with their document and they come and register. We're just doing our small base using the town planning to now say, okay, where is the access road to this property before we issue you title. Now we go to a point to discover that the people selling the land, yes, land is under the governor. The governor has right over the land. It's expected that any person giving access or selling land is supposed to create access road, because you have access road before you get to give your own land too. But then most times you see people selling land, they don't care. They will sell land, they don't care how the access road is going to be. So if you have such challenges, come to the Ministry of Lands and Survey. We'll see how we can work the issue of access road between the Ministry of Lands and Survey and the JMDB. That is our responsibility, because they are the development control to make sure that things are done well. So that is that for the access road. Then for Dauda from Takas, Panshin said, talks about helping farmers to secure title. We're doing our best, and like what we've said earlier about systematic land title registration, it's an exercise that we want to see where we can help the rural people register. But then if a farmer is interested to register a land in a rural area, we have area offices. We have 5 area offices in Plateau State. We have Berkeladi that covers Berkeladi, Riom. We have Mangu, cover Mangu and Bokos. We have Panshin, takes care of Panshin, Kanke, Kanam. We have Lantan North, covering Lantan North, Lantan South, and Wase. Then we have office in Shandam, covers Shandam, Mikan, and Kwampan. Now the headquarters, that is the Ministry of Land, Survey and Town Planning here in Plateau, in Jos, takes care of Bassa, Jos East, Jos North, Jos South. And so we are all over the district. Now I want to say something about, because Emeka has a question about C of O. We have documents, local government paper, we call it C of O, because local government also issue their title. Now they expected to issue title on rural land that are in rural areas. That is, for instance, let's take Mangu as a case study. Okay, let me use Panshin, because I may know villages in Panshin more than that of Mangu. If you have a land within Panshin metropolitan, Panshin town, that land is an urban area. But when you go back to a place like Lankan, they're supposed to give you, you take your customary proof of ownership. They call it customary proof of ownership. It's not right of occupancy. It's not C of O. C of O is certificate of occupancy. I think those are the differences, because somebody will tell you, I'm going to sell my land, I have a document. But then I see in the document, we discover that document is a customary right of occupancy. It's not certificate of occupancy. So, Emeka, if your document is customary right of occupancy, come to Lands and Survey with those documents, with those requirements I've stated earlier. Because that one covers your customary right of occupancy, the same thing as your change of ownership and sales agreement. Because the local government will collect the sales agreement and change of ownership and give you customary right of occupancy. So you come with that to the ministry with supporting document, your change of ownership, the customary proof of ownership, passport photograph, form of identity, survey plan and survey report. We open your tax certification number, we open your file and give you ROF and give you a CFO. Now, even people that are in the rural areas, because the other document is customary right, this one is statutory right. If you go to court with a customary, if you go to bank with a customary right to secure a loan using that as a collateral, the bank will not honor that, but the bank will honor the C of O. So if you have your land, even in Lankan that is having customary right, you want to have statutory right, so that you cannot use it as a facility, we can go ahead to give you the CFO. Not that we don't give CFO in those customary areas. We give CFO as well in those places. So, but if your land is, if your CFO is from the state, statutory signed by the governor, You do what I explained earlier, that is the consent to assignment and the date of assignment. You process and change the document to your name by changing the registration of your date of assignment in the Ministry of Land Survey, because the process is you go to after doing the assignment, after the consent to assignment, you take your date of assignment and a conveyance letter to Board of Internal Revenue for stamp duty. So with the stamp duty, you bring it back to the ministry of your date of assignment, bring it back to the ministry. We now register your property and change the file name to your name, even in the system. The file will read your name in the system. Nayen, she said something about processing text that time 20-30 years, and they say all CFO digital CFO. I mean survey, digital survey, and then all CFO is manual. The one, and yeah, because the instrument we're using then, the accuracy is different from the one we're using. That's why they asked you to do that change. Now, for the issue of missing file, we thank God that we've gone far. By God's grace, we've digitized our files. If your file is missing, if they say your physical file is missing, your physical file is missing, your digital file is in the system. We've digitized. If your file is digitized, we'll continue your processes. It's one step also to this. So we digitized like 90% of our file into our database. We're working to now mop all the remaining files that we've not put into our database. We are trying to mop them up to put them into the system. But if you open your file from 2016 to date, 2016 June 10 to date, your file is already in the system. Issue of missing file is not an issue, because if somebody take your file, he can go ahead and do whatever he wants to do, because we have the soft copy of your file in the system. But then issue of missing file, most times issue of missing file is not that the file is not, you cannot see somebody has taken a file, because files are in process. Sometimes the files are in process. Like one case that I'm handling now is the issue of where people put in a lot of applications for past surrender. You see the file is in a different office. Before you now get the file, another person will pick the file to another different office. So when you come and say we are still looking for your file, people take it and say, no, our file is missing. We don't see our file. It's not that they're taking it for any fraudulent issue. So thank you very much.
All right, now could you just are there any mistakes and or pitfalls that people fall into or make mistakes, of course, during land registration that you would particularly like listeners to avoid? Just like a general message to help them with the process, seeing as we have a lot of calls that came through, and even while we had put a pause to it, calls were coming through. That means that people have a lot of questions about registration and titling. So please shed some light in that area before we round off.
Yeah, I want to advise people, registration is key. And when you are acquiring your property, I think that is one of the mistakes people always do. They don't do due diligence. They will just go ahead. Somebody will just show them, this is the land I want to sell. They don't ask questions, they just go. Maybe rushing, because no, another person. In fact, there are times they even tell you that somebody is anxious, they're going to pay. Instead of you now rushing to throw away your money that is your hard-earned money and just rush to just pay. It's better you have your money than to go and enter a problem. I think that is first advice I give people. Do your due diligence. Whether the land is title, the land does not have title, go ahead to do your due diligence. Though we have what we call another gift, another way of registering. We register gift. If a father can gift his property to another person, we register that one as well. So all those things in place do this. And we also have multiple we have a registration that, for instance, a husband and a wife want to have their name, because we encourage husband and wife to have this Mr. So and Mrs. So on the name on the file. So we have party supplementary registration. They put that type of registration so we can register them. So we always say, please do your due diligence. Now, secondly, for processing, payment of processing, we don't ask people to give our staff money. Don't give money to staff. Say staff is going to pay money for me. No, we have a pay point there. Go to your pay point. It won't take long. Very, very short time. As you pay your money there, you get your receipts. Because we have instances where they now say we have fake receipts. So people go and clone receipts and put in the file. When you come to the finance department to check whether the money paid is genuine, you discover the money paid is not in the account. Because if the money paid is in the account, you will see it tied to your tax certification number. That is the essence of having that TIN number at the Board of Internal Revenue. All the money you are paying, either you are paying your light bill, your water bill, you are paying your vehicle particulars number with your TIN number, and your processing documents is in. Because the Plateau State is running the Treasure single account. So that money will be tied to your TIN number. If the payment is paid for processing of your CFO, a right of occupancy in the Ministry of Land Survey, you will see it spelled under your tax certification number in the database of the Plateau State's Internal Revenue Service. So that is the brief and short advice I will give the people.
All right. So what's your message for Plateau citizens who are buying land today and your advice or message about the importance of doing it properly from the very beginning, because most people just they listen to things like this, but it seems to them as if we're talking to someone else, probably people who want to buy hectares and acres for bigger projects. So talk to us. What's your message for the Plateau citizen, even if it is a quarter or a piece of land that is even smaller than a plot, smaller than a quarter of a plot? What would your advice be about the importance of doing it properly and from the very beginning?
Yeah, from the beginning, after your due diligence, the next thing is get a surveyor to put in beacons on the land immediately. Come to the Ministry of Land Survey, because at times when you acquire the land and you just sit down, relax, somebody will just come. That same person, some people are very, very terrible. They're having some fraudulent acts, carry that same land and go back to sell to another person. So immediately you do your survey, you put your beacons on the land. As the surveyor is finishing the job on the field, he brings in the data to the ministry. The data is now transferred back to the database. And as the data is transferred to the database, your file number and your name is indicated on that very portion of the land. So you are protected. But then you sit down and relax. You say, no, I don't have a problem. Some people, you can buy, some people will acquire land of 10 million naira. But then to process something that is not going to be up to 500,000 or 200,000, they will say, no, I don't have a problem. And at the end of the day, you are losing that 10 million naira. So why can't you now, as you invest in 10 million naira, why can't you now see how you will be able to now protect that 10 million naira? Because that property, as of the day you are purchasing the property, the market value of that property, maybe as of that time is a 10 million naira. And spending like 300,000-400,000 to not secure the land, you are not saying, no, I don't have money. You will lose the land. So my advice is that people should not just consider those saying, oh, I don't have money, after paying huge amount of money. I know there are a lot of challenges with agents. Even the traditional, this is something that we're battling with. They now come and say charging 10%. The ministry is talking, seeing how they can now approach the traditional council so that they can reduce these charges and encourage people to register their land.
All right, Mr. Bulus Sunday Ndaka, thank you for joining us on Good Morning Plateau and for taking what can sometimes seem like a complicated process and breaking it down into practical steps for our listeners to understand. We appreciate your time and your insights. And of course, to our listeners, we say thank you for spending part of your Monday morning with us. To everyone who called, including our callers made up of Krankias Kadung, Dauda Nanmet, Emeka from Bakin Koji, Nani from Jos, we say thank you for your contributions and your questions. To those who followed us on the live stream on Facebook and YouTube audiences, everyone joining us, we say we appreciate your comments and reactions and your participation. And of course, our appreciation also goes to our superiors and colleagues who supported in making Good Morning Plateau possible. Special thanks to our executive producer Rita Kacholompam, our supervising producers Hudungyang and Esther Nasara, and our producer here in the studio in person of Inga Samuel. Today we worked with Vinathio Adams as our duty continuity announcer. We had Lawrence Danat as our studio manager, and Dauda Ungoro was our engineer, and newsroom sent in Deborah John to cover this for news. We also had help from our IT students from PLASU, Nile University, National Open University, and other ancillary departments that ensured that everything went on smoothly. And we leave you with this poser. When you buy land, are you buying just a piece of ground, or are you buying a responsibility to make sure your rights to that land are properly protected? Think about that. And until next time, I am Munkawe London Wadak, wishing you Plateau a peaceful, productive and prosperous week. Good Morning Plateau, and remember to tune in to Peace 90.5 FM Jos at 9 a.m. every weekday for Good Morning Plateau, your daily dose of Plateau. Have a wonderful day.
Do you own land in Plateau State? Have you secured your legal ownership? The Plateau State Ministry of Land Survey and Town Planning will commence the implementation of the Systematic Land Titling and Registration Program. Systematic Land Title Registration is an organized government process of identifying, surveying, recording, and registering all land parcels within a defined area to provide legal proof of ownership and improve land administration. This program makes it easier, faster, and more transparent for landowners to obtain legal documents for their land. A registered title protects your property from disputes, increases its value, provides security for your family, and can help you access financial opportunities when officials visit your community. Cooperate with them by providing accurate information and the required documents. For more information, contact your community